Don't tug my ass gun, but don't pull my ass gun. Don't make no, you can't have my ass gun, 'cause girl, that's mine. It's so divine. No, you can't have my ass gun, 'cause girl, it's mine, mine, mine.
Oh, wow. Scott, what's up, dude? You were here on time. What's up? What's up, everybody? It's that time again. Welcome to Kiss Meets the Podcast 4K, the Crazy, Crazy Kiss Countdown. You one of the best. I am one of your hosts, Eli Clausen.
And I am Luke Neely.
All right. So this week's album is Carnival of Souls. Was really excited to revisit this album, give it a listen again. Always a pleasure. Love the sound of this album just as well. Maybe my favorite as far as Eric's drum sound. I know on the last couple albums in a row we've talked about how good his drum sound were, but every time I listen to this album, I keep getting reminded how much better I feel like they sound on this compared to the other ones. So yeah, this is going to be a fun one to get into. Couple little tidbits here. Today is finally the release date for the Paul Stanley Soul Station album. Looking forward to checking that out. Plan on picking up a copy. Hopefully Paul stops ranting and raving on his soapbox about face masks and everything else to sell some albums. but I do plan to listen to it. What about you?
Yeah, I'm definitely curious to hear the album in its entirety. I checked out that new track they dropped again not too long ago, and pretty much felt the same way about it as the first one that they dropped. It sounds good, sounds really good. I liking Eric Singer's drum sound, and I just wish they would knock it off with the auto-tune. I really don't feel like it needs it. Yeah.
Oh, cool. My youngest was showing me my hat for Disney showed up in the mail.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, I would also prefer he drop the whole thing with the face mask. Did you see the picture of him like he was riding a bike or something?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That I had to get off Facebook for a while. That made me really, really mad.
It reminded me of like Kermit the Frog riding a bike, where you see his long bony legs. And
yeah.
Another nice tidbit of history here. Today is actually the 46th anniversary of Dress to Kill, March 19th, of course. So happy birthday to that fantastic album. And let's see, what was it, last week Unplugged? We're right on the day of the release, and then here we are today is the anniversary of Dress to Kill. So really cool.
Nice.
All right, so I know we have some interesting results in our polls from last week, and as always, some interesting matches coming up. So let's find out what happened with those matches from last week.
For sure, yeah. This we seem to be having a trend all of a sudden of something that we never used to get ever. And I'm not sure how I feel about it. All right, let me make sure I know what we're talking about here. Almost, yeah. Okay, so regular viewers, I'm sure you're tired of hearing this by now, but if you happen to be a brand newbie, please go check out our Facebook, Kiss Meets the Podcast. If you search that, we'll come up. We also have a private group on Facebook, Kiss Meets the Podcast group. You do have to request access to join, but we approve everybody, so get in there, do it, we promise. We like to do some cool stuff over on Facebook that we can't really do on YouTube. Namely, we have these huge Kiss song tournaments that we do. We're right in the middle of one right now where we've thrown into the pot every live Kiss track from an official release. Put them all head to head, and we're going to see what us and our audience says is the number one Kiss live song. So we post 6 matches every week and then close the polls and take the results. We want to hear your vote, so if you're not in there, definitely go check that out. We want to have as many votes as possible. We want to see what you guys say, and what seems to be the prevailing opinion so far is that Alive 4, the Millennium Concert, and Vegas suck. So far, not a single song from those concerts has made it to round 2 unless they were against each other and we had no choice but to pick one. So, jeez.
So rest assured they will be quickly knocked out
Yes,
if they did make it.
Yeah, apparently so.
Space Ace Ronan in the house. What's up, man?
Hey, man. Good to see you in the live chat. So, last week we posted 6 matches. I got the results for those. The first one we posted is Love Gun from Alive 4 versus Nothing to Lose from Alive. Did I give it away already?
Speaks for itself.
Yes, 68% to Nothing to Lose. Also posted Firehouse from Alive versus Forever from Alive 3. Firehouse takes it with 76%.
Yeah. At least I think we still have the unplugged version alive, at least.
Yeah. That's. I figured Firehouse would win, but I'm a tiny bit disappointed that it lost that bad. Yeah. Psycho Circus from Alive 4 versus Black Diamond from Alive. I gave it away. Black Diamond with 89% of the vote. Here's our new trend popping through here. Beth from Alive 2 versus Detroit Rock City from Alive 2. Detroit Rock City with 100% of the vote.
Yeah. I 100% agree. I hate to say it, but I do.
Yeah. That version of Beth, definitely not my favorite. But yeah, it's so weird. You know, guys, we did a whole tournament, several hundred matches from the, I think, 9 rounds. Never got a 0% on any song. And then last week, for the first time, what was it? What was the other one? Oh, Rock and Roll All Night from Alive 4 got no votes. Yeah. And then this time, Beth got no vote. It's so weird that now 2 weeks in a row, we've had something that literally never happened before in the hundreds of matches we've posted.
I guess it goes to show how people feel about album versions versus live in some cases.
Yeah.
Because obviously the album version of Beth blows away this Alive 2 version.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a feeling, I think we're going to have another one here in the matches we posted this week. It wouldn't surprise me to see another 100%. We'll get to that in a sec. We also last week posted She from Alive versus Lick It Up from Alive 4. She takes it with 92% of the vote. And finally, for results, we've got God of Thunder from Kiss Rocks Vegas versus 2000 Man from Unplugged. And 2000 Man takes that with 76%.
Hey, Taylor, what's up?
How's it going? All right, so we got 6 matches. We just posted them earlier today. So again, get over there and give us your vote. Let us know what you think. What's your favorite? What's not your favorite? The 6 you can go vote on right now over on Facebook are Calling Dr. Love from Alive 2 versus I Stole Your Love from Alive 2.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's a bit tough there.
Definitely. Hotter Than Hell from Alive versus Do You Love Me from MTV Unplugged. Here's my guess. 100,000 Years from Alive versus Heaven's on Fire from the Millennium Concert.
Oh, jeez.
If Heaven's on Fire gets any votes, then it'll be from people who've never heard the Millennium Concert.
Not only is it up against that song, it's like you got the drum solo on top of that. It's almost like a double team.
Yes. Much as I would love to be the champion flag waver for the 80s songs, I couldn't in good conscience give it anything other than 100,000 Years. We got Cold Gin from Alive versus Got to Choose from Alive.
That's another kind of tough one, but me personally, I kind of go with cold gin for that one.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
We also got Do You Love Me from the Millennium Concert versus Detroit Rock City from Alive 4. And finally, Shandy from Alive 4 versus Sure Know Something from Alive 4.
Ooh. Two great performances. That's I feel like that's a fairly underrated portion of that concert.
Yes.
Some good stuff there.
Definitely. And I mean, the only occurrence of Shandy on a live release.
Yeah.
Well, and Sure Know Something for that. Well, no, I guess Sure Know Something's on MTV as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that's what we got right now. Please go get your votes in. We would really appreciate it. I Was Made for Loving You, yes.
From Alive 4?
Definitely.
Was that one of your favorite ones? I need to listen to Alive 4 again. It's been a while. You know, I hate to not give. Well, you know, Alive 4 I feel is like in the middle, but as far as like Millennium and even Vegas, you know, I hate to feel like I'm not giving them enough of a chance, but you know, maybe I need to listen to them again just to refresh my ears. But
yeah, definitely. Alive 4 should be coming up here in a little bit.
Yeah, that is true.
So we'll have that.
I guess all three of those for that matter at some point, I guess.
Right. I believe both the Millennium Concert and Kiss Rocks Vegas were in our Second Coming series, just ones that we didn't get to.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yes, and I believe, unless I've missed it, maybe I did miss it, I Was Made for Loving You from Alive 4 hasn't been in the polls yet.
I don't believe so.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it at all here, which is strange. Oh, yes, here, yeah. It was up against Going Blind from Alive 4 and actually lost.
Oh. You know, God, you know, now that I think about that, because, you know, Taylor, that is a good point with that I Was Made for Loving You, because the way that sounds with the orchestra behind it, or the symphony.
Yeah.
Man, it just gives that song a whole different feel. Man, now I'm kind of bummed that it lost.
yeah, absolutely.
Recount. No, we lost Luke. It was going so well. Sorry if you guys were here last week. Was having a little technical issues, and it looks like those are unfortunately continuing, but we're again going to just bear through it. All right.
Yeah, I have no idea why this keeps happening. I have done all sorts of things trying to figure it out, and just makes no difference.
Taylor said no in Darth Vader voice.
Nice. Nice. So we got a few comments on last week's episode. Let's see. Well, you know, first off, we got the ever amazing porn comment from Edward McCoy. So something at 47 seconds at vom.in.net, you know, just apparently just really must be the best. I don't know. Something
about our intros must really make people think that we want to watch porn or something.
Must be. I don't know.
I guess we give off that weird vibe. Huh?
I don't know if looking at our faces makes you want to go watch porn. You got something wrong. Huh.
A bunch of necrophiliacs or something.
Right. Yes. We got coming from Kiss and Tail, good buddies over there at the Kiss and Tail podcast, saying this was the best Kiss album of the 90s. I'm assuming in reference to MTV Unplugged.
Okay. Yes, Kiss and Tail, once again, I need to give them a shout out because I was checking out their newest episode, which again, they did share the link. They were watching 5 random Kiss music videos, and then voting on them. But I just want to give them a thank you and a shout out because they did give us a shout out in that video. They showed our image from our group page and gave a little shout out there. So much appreciated, fellas. We love you guys, and can't wait to do a collab show again.
Absolutely. We also got a comment from Ronnie Parker, who I believe is in the chat right now, Ronnie says, I remember when MTV debuted this show. I was like a kid in a toy store. So excited to see this reunion. Rock on, Space Ace Ron.
Absolutely. Space Ace Ron, hopefully you're still here.
Yes. And finally, we also got a comment from Robbie Stars, good old Rabble. And Rabble says, I've been a Kiss fan since 1977 as a 5-year-old, and Carnival of Souls is one of my favorite Kiss albums. Why? Because 1, it's heavy as hell, and 2, the vocals by Paul and Gene are possibly my favorite vocals on an album, and 3, I enjoy the writing on the whole album. It's not classic Kiss by any means, but that can get old to me, and I turn to albums just like this one. Musically incredible, and it might be a little grungy, but I feel it sounds more like old early 70s Black Sabbath, and that's one reason I dig Carnival, to me, better than Revenge.
Right on, man. I mean, at this point in time, I think it's safe to say, forget the talk about Carnival being the worst Kiss album, quote unquote, and, because I think that's long out the window at this point. I lost your audio real quick. There we are.
There we go. Okay, yeah. So he also gave us his rankings for the album, so we do have those in there already. He also gave us a little side note there. He said, I feel the Paul songs are stronger than his material on Revenge. People complain Unholy is the best song off Revenge, but people crap on Carnival of Souls, and most of the songs are like Unholy. And then he asked if I agreed with him.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they definitely took that kind of heavy tinged stuff like Unholy and did a whole album of it here. So yeah, it doesn't make sense, honestly, that people kind of complain about that, other than Unholy has a totally different production, I think, and the production makes it feel a little different than this album does.
Right on. All right. So, yeah, spot on, Ronnie. Kiss Conversations. Yep, we enjoy them too, man.
Yeah. Did you read, there was an interview from Paul out, I just saw right before we got on here. It was an interview regarding the Soul Station stuff, but he talks a little bit of Kiss stuff as well. Did you see that?
I heard something about it. I didn't actually read it or anything.
Yeah.
Basically saying that I did see something about, the chance of another Kiss album is definitely dead, but rock and roll isn't, or something like that.
Yeah. They asked if he had any talks with Gene about making new music, and I mean, we pretty much got the same answer he normally does. He said he just doesn't see much point in doing it, and he made a point he's made before about he thinks that songs like Modern Day Delilah and Hell or Hallelujah are just as good as anything they ever wrote and recorded, but people don't react to them very well because they're not old like the old songs are.
Yeah.
He kind of likened it to the title track Psycho Circus too. He said people didn't like that when it came out, but they love it now.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's 20 years old,
Well, again, just he makes it sound like no one liked it when it came out. That's obviously not true. But yeah, at this point, it is a classic, and it's still kind of weird for me to think that. Like, God, I guess you can consider it a classic now.
Yeah.
But I songs like Delilah and Hallelujah, I think they'll get to that point within a matter of another 5 to 10 years. Hell or Hallelujah, I mean, they didn't give it enough of a chance to become a classic in the live shows because they barely played it. They played it during the one tour, and then they haven't touched it since. So
Right. I kind of want to know who's telling them, because he says something in the interview about you put out a new song and the audience goes, okay, that's great, now play your hits. Okay, but who told you that? Who did somebody in the audience raise their hand and you were like, yes, sir? And he was like, yeah, that's a good song, but do you love me, please? Yeah.
I just feel like it's sort of a cop-out. I want to say more on the Paul and Gene side of things as far as, forgetting lyrics or how to play certain songs. I feel like they just don't even want to bother sometimes, and they'd rather just keep sticking to, what we keep getting all the time. I don't know. Because, you got to think Eric and Tommy, they obviously know how to play a lot of that stuff because they're always throwing it out, and whatever they might get lucky to play during a sound check, or maybe even in the when they were doing those acoustic meet and greet things. That was that was about as much stroke as they were able to pull, but I don't know. So Rabble's joined us. What's up, man? We got Richie Sloan back with us too. What's up? He asked if we heard this. He said Stool Station album. It's like cats fighting in a back alley. Oh God, I love Richie. They quit playing Hallelujah because Deep Purple is probably threatening a lawsuit. Why so? Does it sound like a Deep Purple song? I'm not sure. I never noticed that.
No, never occurred to me. Yeah, I thought it was kind of interesting too. They asked Paul in that interview too again about God of Thunder and how he felt about not getting to sing it. And of course, that's a story we've all heard 100 times, and Paul gives them the answer we've always heard. But he says when Bob Ezrin told him, "Yeah, that's great, but Gene's going to sing it," that he was shattered. He was devastated. And of course, I saw this same article posted from two different news sources, and the other news source, that was the headline: Paul Stanley shattered that Gene Simmons sings God of Thunder.
Oh,
Are you kidding me? Come
please.
on, clickbait.
That's like saying Gene shattered that Paul sings Shandy or something.
Right. Because he even says in the interview the same thing he's always said. In retrospect, it was the exact right decision, and I've never been happier to be wrong. Like,
Jesus. Another, speaking of album anniversaries, I forgot to mention too, earlier this week was the 45th anniversary of Destroyer. And if you guys have Sirius XM, maybe some of you guys heard it, but over on Ozzy's Boneyard, starting at noon on that day, every hour, on top of the hour, they had Gene and Paul, basically just, different sound snippets of them talking about little things about the album and whatnot. But that was going on every hour of the throughout the day, and then they were playing, basically, each track from the song or from the album, I meant. But then sometimes they would even just throw in other, random deep cuts, which was really cool. Like Luke will be back here, but when I was, they played like the studio version of Deuce and stuff like All Hell's Breaking Loose, just stuff that you don't hear on the regular radio stations around here that we're so used to hearing. So it was cool to hear, like the studio version of Deuce and things like that. So just wanted to throw that out there. That was a cool thing to hear on Ozzy's Boneyard. I'm not sure if any of you guys caught that, but if you did, please share. Richie says, Hallelujah is a total ripoff of Deep Purple's Burn. I don't know, man. I love Burn. I'm going to have to listen again to see if I can hear that. Midnight Special show. Anniversary is coming up in April. Oh, good point, Ronnie.
nice.
And then regarding this week's album, Carnival of Souls, Carolina says he's about 60-40 to the good on the album. It's a jamming album, and he thinks Paul really shines on the album. That's a rare statement. Most people think Gene shines on this album. I think Eric shines on this album.
Oh, yeah. I think, as is typical for any release from the Revenge era lineup, they all four just absolutely kill it.
Mm-hmm. All right. I guess we'll get into our info and we'll get started with this thing.
Definitely. Yeah. All right. So this album has, perhaps one of the most interesting stories of any Kiss album. This album was released as Carnival of Souls, The Final Sessions, although most of us just call it Carnival of Souls. This is the 17th studio album by Kiss, released on October 28th, 1997. Now, this album... What's that?
Day before my 17th birthday. I didn't realize that.
Nice. Yeah, so this was recorded from November 95 till February 1996, which means they would have gotten to working on this just after the MTV Unplugged special. which I did not realize until we did last week's episode. I always had kind of assumed they were like in the middle of recording the album when they did Unplugged. But no, actually, there's quite a bit of gap. They would have already been in talks of a reunion tour when they started working on this album, which is, I don't know, a little weird to me.
Yeah, that is very weird. We kind of touched on it last week too. It's like, obviously they were basically, business as usual. We're going back to where we left off. The Unplugged thing was cool, and then obviously someone came in with that money offer, and that just changed the whole landscape of history to come.
Yes. Yeah, that is for sure. So this album was produced by Paul and Gene and also Toby Wright, who is an American producer who did a whole bunch of work with bands you'd expect based on the sound of this album, stuff like Alice in Chains, Metallica, Seven Dust, Korn, that sort of thing. Now, it doesn't say anything about this on Wikipedia, but I know that I've read in interviews that Paul was particularly dissatisfied with Toby as a producer because he seemed like he was up Gene's butt. Anything Gene said went, and Paul seemed to have trouble getting a word in edgewise. Now, neither Gene nor Toby recall that, but I suppose they wouldn't. I read a fairly long interview with Toby not too long ago about this album, and the interviewer asked him about that. Paul says he hates this album, and part of the reason is because you seem to only pay attention to Gene, and Toby was like, "Are you kidding me? I loved Paul. Everything he brought in was gold. I don't know where he got any of that."
Okay, I got to ask a question in the chat. Is Richie Slun really 100,000 watts from 52?
You gotta wonder sometimes.
Because now he's taking shots at Scott, and I know Scott's been on that show, so it's got to be one of those guys.
And making a reference to Rachel's purse.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Come on, man. Yes. So this album was, of course, actually not going to be released, which is very strange, and I'm glad they turned around on that because, of course, around the time they would have finished this album, it had been decided they're going to do the reunion tour. They're disbanding the non-makeup lineup, and they're getting back with Ace and Peter, and they shelved this album entirely. Now, somehow, some bootleg versions of this album.
Go figure we lost Luke in the middle of the info. But I know what he's starting to get at. Bootleg versions of the album that leaked out. He'll continue in just a moment here, guys. Here we go. All right.
Jesus.
Bootleg versions got leaked.
Yes, bootleg versions got leaked, and it got to the point that Kiss themselves became aware that the album was basically out there already. And so they said, well, maybe we should go ahead and put an official version of this out so that we can make money off of it. And they did. And apparently, according to Bruce anyway, there are songs on the official release of the album that had not been leaked on any bootleg versions, which was kind of their, hey, you should actually buy this.
It's kind of like, makes you wonder how did it get leaked out anyway? And then, that thing was all over the place too. It wasn't. It was almost like it got released.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. For it to have been so serious that even Kiss was like, "Well, we might as well just freaking put it out." Like it had to have been serious.
And I wonder why they didn't, keep that that artwork, with the flaming head or whatever, and wherever that came from. Like, I'm surprised they didn't keep that somewhere, like even like on the inner sleeve or something like that. But
right,
I can't remember if they did or not on the CD version. But looking at the vinyl, it's nowhere to be found.
Right. This album does include 2 co-writes from members of Black and Blue. Interestingly, we've got the vocalist Jamie St. James, who co-wrote "In My Head," and also Tommy Thayer, of course, collaborated with Gene on "Childhood's End." Had a weird stroke there and forgot how to talk. This album is also notable for two reasons. First off, the first and only lead vocals from Bruce Kulick on I Walk Alone, at least with Kiss, his only lead vocal performance. This is the band's longest studio album at just over an hour. And also kind of bookends the period. It shares that with Lick It Up. Lick It Up starts the no makeup. This ends the no makeup, which is kind of a strange thing they have in common, you know? As far as personnel, you will find one of the nicest, most concise things you will see on Wikipedia when it comes to Kiss. Paul Stanley, vocals, rhythm, guitar. Gene, vocals, bass. Bruce Kulick, vocals, lead guitar, and then also bass on Rain, I Will Be There, Jungle, It Never Goes Away, In the Mirror, and I Walk Alone. And also Eric Singer, drums, percussion, backing vocals. See there? No extra musicians, no ghost musicians. Nobody had to come in to redo a solo. Just the band.
Yeah, that's the pure band, the pure talent. No extra bells and whistles.
Yes.
The only extra thing they brought in was that, children's choir or whatever to sing on that Childhood's End.
Yep, the little string sections occasionally, and that was it.
I love that little video clip that's Easter egg on Kissology. Where Paul yells at the kids through the microphone.
Don't touch anything.
Oh, so good.
I always giggle at the little clip of Gene telling Bruce and Eric about the prick tour.
Oh, yeah.
Paul's being a prick to the fans. And Paul's just like, what are you talking about?
Don't touch it.
Yes, this album did, believe it or not, reach number 27 on the U.S. Billboard Pop charts. However, it has not been certified at all.
Wow, wow, wow. And unfortunately, only one single off of this, which, is kind of a criminal thing as well.
Right. And not the one, at least I expect.
Yeah.
It's always confused me a little bit.
Absolutely, yeah. All right, so getting into this thing here. So we start off the album, and again, is this the first time, or if not, it's a rare thing, but we're starting with a Gene song. So we have the song Hate, of course. This comes in at number 6 this time. It's cool. It to me, it's kind of got the same feel as like an Unholy, starting the album with that kind of just demon-esque, kind of aggressive Gene type of vocal. And I will say I'm not the biggest fan of the whole intro, with all that little noise going on. I'd have almost the album just started with, everybody coming in, or even for that matter, when Steve McGowan, one of our regular contributors, brought up the video that has all the demos, and the actual Carnival intro, which they ended up using on Psycho Circus, of course, was the original intro for this. And I kind of wish they would have used it on here. Like, as much as I like it on Psycho Circus, I kind of wish they would have used it on here too, because I kind of liked how it sounded without all the extra little effects and things that they did on Psycho Circus. And but anyway, so great song. I love that, the line, all you martyrs, saints and sinners, obviously harkens back to, Creatures for me with that song, Saint and Sinner. And again, just to get it out of the way now, like I said, Eric's drums sound phenomenal. Probably the best sounding version of his drumming on all of these recent albums. Again, the production itself is great. And so, yeah, just a really, really cool opener, and nice to hear a Gene song started off for once. Yeah.
Continuing the trend from Revenge, I suppose, maybe hoping that it will signal a heavier album,
Yes.
Definitely. I'm blowing it early again. This is my number 1. Oh man, I absolutely love this song. I love Eric's drum groove on this song. It's honestly, that drum groove is one of my favorite parts about this song. I also always felt that it was a very appropriate way to start this album. I'm always big up for, like, the album should open hard and heavy. The second you press play, you're like, whoa! And this doesn't really do that, but it's still really heavy. I don't mean to say this one isn't hard and heavy. It's just not fast and exciting, but
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
sets the album up just absolutely perfectly. You know exactly what you're in for. Kiss has taken another different turn. And by the way, I know this makes me a little weird again, but I've never quite gotten a grunge connection for this for me. And I'm not super in touch with grunge. When I think of grunge, I think stuff like Nirvana, and I don't think
Yeah.
anything on this album sounds like Smells Like Teen Spirit or anything Nirvana ever did. This just sounds like metal to me.
Yeah. Like, I think what people were reaching for is like, okay, there's points where it might sound kind of similar to, like, say, Alice in Chains,
Right.
but not that grungy, almost punk sound. Like,
Yeah.
but I could see little, like I said, Alice in Chains, things like that were big at the time. And again, I think a lot of people just look at their look. They look at the cover and the way they're dressed. Oh, they're trying to be alternative and
yeah. And
all that.
The production kind of lends itself to that too. The intentionally stripped down, really dry sound, I guess, kind of points itself to that. But yeah, no. Again, I've just never heard that. When I think of grunge, I also think really simplistic. Everything's power chords and crappy distortion sounds, and neither of those things define this album even a little bit.
Right, absolutely. It's definitely not Green. It's far from anything Green Day could do on their best day.
Right.
Anything like that. So, Chris, what's up, brother? It's good to see you. It's been a while. He said, "Where's 100,000 watts?" I don't know, man, but I got a suspicion that Richie Slon is 100,000 watts. I could be wrong. All right, so moving on, we have Rain. Again, kind of a first here. We got two single word title songs back to back. Number 2 for me, and I love the kind of weird timing on this. Especially with what Eric's doing when he hits the that mini China, and it just has that cool, nice sound to it. They were only missing the flannel shirts. They damn near had them on. Rain's a great song, great Paul song, following up a great Gene song. I feel like they're kind of brother songs in a way. To me they're not too hugely different, but I don't mean that in a bad way. It's definitely an enjoyable song. I always enjoy when this track comes on next, and so I love the little the background vocals, and Eric doing the little ting thing on the ride during the chorus, little things like that. So very solid Paul song, and it's another one that you could say is kind of a heavy Paul song, which there's not a lot of, like we've discussed, and this is definitely a great one.
Yes. Yeah, this is the "I Still Love You" moment of this album, I think, where Paul just freaking belts. I mean, there's a few points on this album where he does that, but this song is him utilizing a lot of his vocal range, which I think I've got that note in several different songs here. But yeah, we don't hear Paul sing in his lower range very much, and he does that a lot on this album, and it's just as good. This is number 3 for me. And of course, I got to point out that 7/4 time signature, which happens very rarely in Kiss songs. "Lonely is the Hunter," and then this song, and I think there might be one other time they use something really weird like that. But I love that it lends itself to the feel of this song, that 7/4 time. That just every once in a while, not every time, but every once in a while, it feels like you tripped over something and you got to the next section early, and I just love that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's one of them things, like you try to bob your head to it, and then that hits, and you're just like, did I suddenly forget how to bob my head to the music and rhythm? Scott, thanks for your rankings there. We'll definitely get those counted in for the show. Chris says that "Hate" is the best song on the album. He can buy Gene being grunge way more than the Star Child. And then we got a couple album rankings coming in as well. So moving on is Master and Slave. This one's number 5 for me. This is just another good, straightforward rocker, man. It just starts right off with what I kind of wanted out in the first track. I would have been happy with this being the first track of the album. It just starts right off, balls to the wall. Doesn't really slow down at all. It's just got that that groove to it and that heaviness, and it's just another solid song. And of course, we could probably make these comparisons all day, but to me, it definitely sounds like something that could have been on Revenge just as easy. And again, that would have been a good thing too. I mean, just glad it's on an album. Period. To say it's an underrated song, you might as well say that about pretty much the whole album, because again, knowing how the album gets treated at times. So, but I definitely think this is one of the best underrated songs that just never gets talked about much.
Yeah, absolutely. Justin, my best friend all throughout high school, absolutely hates Kiss. You already know this. I've talked about this a lot. He cannot stand Kiss, and he especially cannot stand Paul. I burned him this album one time, didn't tell him what it was. He listened to it, loved the whole thing, came back. Man, you got to tell me what is this? I'm like, it's Kiss. And he's like, you got to be kidding me. But he still to this day loves it. And even since I've told him that, he still is like, well, I like the Gene songs way more than I like the Paul songs. But he liked this song, Master and Slave, so much that he was like, dude, we have to cover this. And for him to suggest covering a Kiss song,
wow,
that's something right there. Yeah, this came in number 4 for me this time. This is one of the few times I can say that I really, really like the lyrics of a Kiss song. I mean, usually they're just kind of weird, jokey sex puns. And this one, while still fairly nonsensical, feels really cool. And it's got an awesome, catchy chorus. Again, man, that the solo section of this song is in 5/4 time. Kiss playing with them weird time signatures. That's new and awesome.
Yeah, but no, they're not good musicians. They're just makeup and wagging their tongue and all that stuff.
Exactly.
It's funny because I remember when I first heard about this album too, and it was a friend of mine, and it was kind of the same story. I'll just keep going while Luke's coming back. Kind of the same story. He wasn't exactly a Kiss fan, and hang on a second. Okay, you there? All right, gotcha. So yeah, it was like here I am, the hardcore Kiss fan, and it was a friend of mine that wasn't exactly a big Kiss fan at all, if barely. And then he comes in, hey man, did you check out this newer Kiss album? I'm like, what are you talking about? And he shows me, and it's Carnival, and I'm like, okay, this is different. But it was weird because like he loved it, and it seemed like I remember hearing other people that loved the album, and it was like really, like, then why don't you listen to all this other stuff that they've done? And then I kind of got to thinking recently, and it's like I do remember now, this album got it did get a decent amount of promotion through the heavy metal magazines, because we were all reading those things back in the day, Metal Edge, and all those that were out around that time. And I do remember that being promoted, like the ads for the album. And so I feel like that's how a lot of these guys discovered it, and versus being an actual Kiss fan. They're like, oh, it's promoted in this magazine, so I'll give it a shot. And then they ended up liking it, and it's like, well, duh, it's Kiss.
Definitely.
So let's see. You already did your ranking for Master and Slave?
Yep.
All right, so moving in is Childhood's End. This comes in at number 8 for me. It's a cool song. It's ballad, blah blah blah. You know, Gene singing ballads like this. I don't know. I kind of feel like maybe Paul should have sang it, or they should have just left it to even just one ballad on the album for that matter too, instead of basically having two on this album. I don't know. It's a good song, but it's one of them that I'm just kind of hit and miss. Like sometimes when it comes on, I'll be like, oh, cool, yeah. But other times it's like, I just don't feel like listening to it. It's just, I don't know. Sometimes it can just be a little draggy with that chorus and everything. And yeah, so number 8 this time.
Nice. I got this one at number 5. Honestly, this is the one I feel like should have been the single over Jungle. This one,
Yeah.
And not that I feel it's the best on the album, clearly not, but it feels like a radio single to me.
Mm-hmm.
It feels radio friendly. The chorus is really catchy. It's heavy, but it's tempered. You know what I mean? It's got the different sections with it. Gene's got some weird Beatle-y bass parts going on occasionally, and then of course at the end singing the little God of Thunder section, a la Beatles singing stuff at the end of Hey Jude, you know. So yeah, I like the song. This is one of my favorite Bruce solos on this album too.
Very cool. Richie says he played this album for a friend who hated Kiss, and then he punched him in the nose and broke the CD. Chris says Childhood Ends has a catchy chorus, but the verses are terrible. Next is I Will Be There, number 9. So there you go. We're putting both ballads back to back. We know Paul basically wrote this song for his son Evan at the time. So that's cool. I'm not gonna give him any crap about that. It's always cool to write a song about your child, I'm sure, and it makes for a pretty good ballad. But it's one of those forgotten Paul ballads. I feel like it's one of them that I know I personally never think about it when I'm thinking Paul ballads and some of the best songs that he wrote, and it's just I just always kind of lose my attention when this song comes on, and and again, knowing that there's better to come, in my opinion, always kind of it's what helps keep me listening. So number 9.
Yeah, 3 for me on this one. This is I think one of the coolest acoustic guitar tones on any song of all time. I love the way the song sounds and the way it mixes with the fretless bass. I think it just creates this really different, interesting feel throughout the whole thing. I get that thing stuck in my head all the time. And again, Paul just absolutely belting the vocals here, going from the first part of the song that's kind of soft and held back, and then near the end where he's just belting those notes at a whole octave higher than he was singing them earlier. It just it hits right. I like it.
Nice. All right, so next is Jungle. This is number 1 for me. This is really like I always remember this being the first song I heard on this album. Again, talking about my friend that kind of introduced the CD to me. This is the song that I kind of remember him putting on, like, man, check this out, And then on top of that, like, I know now it's like kind of like a big deal, but at the time it was kind of like, wow, like this song is long for a Kiss song, And, obviously we had a couple on this album like that, but it was just like at the time, like, man, this is a long song and it definitely sounds different, and all that stuff, and it's great. It's just a really good. You gotta love that, when it starts, the bass and drum kind of doing that little groove thing, and Paul's vocals are just top notch on this album. Such a good song, and I couldn't help but be like surprised and excited a few years ago because being a huge football fan, also I was at a game, Cincinnati Bengals game, and they played this song over the PA in the stadium once, and I was like, "Holy crap! It's Kiss, and it's freaking Jungle on top of that." And of course, how fitting, obviously, but yeah. So I've always had a special place for this song, and like I said, it's the first one I remember hearing from the album, and but every time I hear it, it's just better and better. And like I said, I just love that drum and bass, where it's grooving throughout the song, and it has another breakdown with it. And yeah, just awesome.
Nice. Yeah, that would have been pretty cool. If I had been there at that, I would have been at a point where I'd have been shushing people if they tried to talk to me while I was playing.
No, screw the game. Play the whole damn song.
Yeah.
Or else.
The whole album. I don't tell the football guys to go home. Let's do this. Yes. This one's number 9 for me this time. I love the groove on this. I don't like the bass tone. I don't understand where they got that weird watery effect going on. I don't know why that was necessary, but that
was left over from the Tears Are Falling video.
Yeah, apparently so. Yeah, and I'm still surprised this one was a single. Now, don't get me wrong. I think I really like the song, and I think this might be my favorite chorus of the whole. On an album of catchy choruses, this might be the coolest chorus on the whole album.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Just like overall, this one was the single. It seems a little strange. I want to know who wrote and then okayed the lyric "Wah" in the jungle. Again, man, that's just Paul flexing how cool he can make anything sound. You know what I mean? And then yeah, the ending. It goes on too long. That's what put it down on my list this time. You know me, I have no problem with long songs.
Yeah.
But this just goes and goes and goes and doesn't ever really add anything as it goes. And then eventually it just kind of stops. So I don't know. It's not terrible, but I do kind of wish they'd ended it a little sooner.
Yeah, just admit we all expected Paul to do an actual roar by the end of this song, but
maybe that's what that was supposed to be.
We got close. Yeah, I mean, to me, it's like I don't know why, but I still feel like to me this song is the most different sounding Kiss song versus everything else that came before this. I mean, to me, it's just so different. Just the songwriting structure of it, and things that they didn't normally do before this. Be Live and their stupid countdown to bring somebody in.
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard anything I said or not, but
yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. It's just like the whole structure of the song and things that they didn't normally do, and like you said, even like that ending, like you said, it's just I just always feel like this is so much more different from everything else that they have ever done, and even on this album. And that's just me. I don't know. I don't know why.
I feel like musically the majority of this album was Bruce, and I think that's why it's so different. I seem to recall reading somewhere that Gene specifically told Bruce, tune your guitar like this, lock yourself in a room, give me everything you can think of. And then stuff got distributed to him and to Paul and to Toby, and I feel like that might be why. If Bruce puts his mind to what's cool and heavy, this is what happens, and that's why it's different from every other Kiss album where he just maybe helped write a song.
Well, that's true. Yeah. And again, we kind of talked about this, not to get off track too much here, but we talked about the what ifs of when everything's done. Could Eric and Bruce continue a project, and hopefully maybe it's stuff along this line of this type of stuff again. If not even obviously better, however much better it could be.
Right. The comment section has taken off without us.
Yeah, I'm still not sure if this Richie is who I think it might be or not.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, moving on is In My Head, number 4 for me. I'm pretty sure I said this last time, but this is the song that like really grew on me. Over the last like just even couple of years, to be honest. It, it's one of my favorite Gene songs, and definitely another underrated song. I just love again, they're messing around with some odd timings here, and it's just so different, because the way the song starts, and then all of a sudden it goes into that dun 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 dun. You don't expect that. And then the way Gene's singing the song and all that stuff. I mean, yeah, it's just catchy as hell to me, and I just love, and again, the way Eric's drum sound helps that, and it's one of the reasons I like it so much. The way the drums sound on those odd time parts, the way what Eric's doing on those parts. So yeah, very, very cool. So underrated Gene song. It deserves more love than it gets, and yeah.
Yes, number 11 for me, but I gotta tell you, this, I think, for me, is the demon song on this album. More than any of the other Gene songs, this is the demon one. The vocal harmonies in the song are so freaking cool. I wish this is one place where the production falls a little short for me, because I feel like they could have done a lot of fancy production tricks to increase the creepiness of the song, and I think that would have really helped it. But being that this is intentionally a stripped back, really dry album, I don't think it would have made sense for them to have done that. You know what I mean? It would have felt a little out of place to have a bunch of weird, like, backwards reverby coming into stuff and echoey vocals and stuff just on this one song. You know what I mean? That would have been really weird.
It would have been kind of cool. Now that you say that, like, say, like, after he goes in my head, and then if they had like this little kind of like coming out of the side, like in my head, like repeating it, where it almost sounds like it's coming out of nowhere, and you're kind of looking around like, whoa, where'd that come from?
Yeah, exactly. Having weird little low mutterings and different speakers that jump around, that would have.
And then maybe even a part where they put on that monster effect, like kind of like in God of Thunder, do that for a few lines or something at one point, maybe would have been kind of cool too.
Totally.
All right. So next is It Never Goes Away. Number 12 for me, Dead Last. Unfortunately, this another little pocket in the album here with this song and the next one that I just didn't really care much for. This song didn't do anything for me. I got pretty bored with it. Lost track. Didn't really pay much attention. Just couldn't wait for it to be over, to be honest. So unfortunately, that's how it came in. So number 12.
Indeed. Number 10 for me. Yeah, this one, I don't know how to go about it. I don't want to call it boring. It's not boring, but it doesn't quite hold as much interest as some of the others. However, I do really appreciate, again, the Paul utilizing his entire, well, maybe not his entire vocal range, especially the lower range, because again, we hear that so rarely in Kiss songs. It's neat to hear him still pulling stuff off, singing down low like that, and then he still goes, especially when he sings the title of the song, "It Never Goes Away," it just goes way up there. And then the main riff, is that kind of old cliche metal, kind of the Devil's Triad, but they do make it work. It doesn't feel like, oh geez, they're doing that. You know what I mean? It still does work, but yeah, I would say this one holds a little less interest than some of the others.
Okay, Richie Slon is definitely Mike Watts, because what he just typed is 100% something that Watts would say. He's always saying stuff like that in his Paul voice.
Yes.
So another boring one for me here, Seduction of the Innocent, number 11. So Man, I'm just not a fan of that. It sounds almost like Indian music at the very beginning. I'm not digging that. I don't understand what that's supposed to be about. They might as well have just pulled out sitars and played those flutes that the snake handlers or charmers play. So it kind of sounds like that's what they were sort of going for, and really not sure. And I don't know if it was like supposed to be a clever play off the whole seduction thing, but just I gotta say, like one of my least favorite Kiss songs in the entire catalog. To be honest, it just did not do anything for me, and I just found that part a little hacky. So, ugh.
I just won't talk about this one then. It's number 2.
Oh, jeez.
I like it for all the reasons you said you didn't. So I guess we can move on.
Well, moving on is I Confess, and this will probably be another night and day between us two, but this is number 3 for me. Another, God, I love this Gene song. I guess I like pretty much almost all of Gene's songs on this album, but oh, you gotta stop. So I'll tell you, man, the first time I heard this song, and it wasn't in the context of listening to the album. It was just, well, to be honest, it was at the expo, and they were just playing, the random loop of Gene songs because it was the year that Gene was there. And I kept hearing this song come on, a few times throughout the day, and I'm like, what is that? Like, I did not know what that song was, and I felt, kind of dumb for not knowing. But I swore that it was something from his '78 solo album, because the way Gene sings this and his voice, it to me sounds spot on like that '78 era Gene. Like it, I mean, I just had never heard him sound as close to that as I did on this song. Like anything before this and after, like I just felt like he nailed it. And it does have such a kind of weird vibe, the whole intro thing, like whatever that is, with the weird, noise going on. But I love, when it gets ready to kick in, that and then it just kicks into that chorus, and very cool. And then it's got that part towards the end where it just kind of rocks, that and Eric's just grooving. So just a unique, different type of song for me, and a Gene song, and again, one of my favorite Gene songs. But yeah, I swore up and down that it had to be off his solo album, and I finally got the gumption to pull the phone out and pull your phone out, pull up Shazam, and then found out Carnival of Souls, no kidding. So, oh well.
Yeah, I'm telling you, Gene was going through something Beatlesy around this period. I would swear, because I heard that weird little bass stuff in Childhood's End. I felt pretty Beatlesy during Seduction of the Innocent. I feel it during this one. Obviously, We Are One has a strong Beatlesy vibe. They did See You Tonight on Unplugged. Like, I don't know, it's like Gene must have like rediscovered his love for the Beatles around this time or something. I Confess comes in number 8 for me, and yeah, this is another one of this album's many super catchy choruses. This one I get stuck in my head almost more than the others. And then the other thing that I like really about this song that's different from probably almost every other Kiss song is the low string sections are just the musical bass for the verse, and then they all kick in for the chorus. I mean, you just don't hear that usually in a Kiss song, for them to drop down to nothing but strings and Gene's bass for a verse and then kick in hard for a chorus.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's so like different and kind of like eerie sounding in a way. And,
yeah.
Oh yeah, gotta love it. All right, so moving on is In the Mirror, and this one came in at number 10. Yeah, this one wasn't as bad as the two that I ranked dead last, but yeah, I definitely was paying a little more attention at this point. It definitely had a cool, another cool kind of jam sort of breakdown moment. Kind of, I think it was kind of more towards the end, if I remember. But yeah, that was kind of the main thing that I pulled out of this song, and that's really what kind of saved it and put it at number 10 instead of putting it where the other two were. So, pretty solid song, though.
Definitely. I've got this one at number 7, and yeah, I often forget about this one, and I don't know why, because as soon as it started this time, I was like, oh yeah, it's one of those upbeat Paul songs, at least tempo wise, on this
Hmm.
album, and I just I'm angry with myself that I forget about this song entirely because I do really like it. Especially, I honestly I kind of wish it ended the album. I feel like it's got a really strong end to it, and again, being upbeat, kind of leave you energized and wanting more.
Yeah. Chris said Childhood's End also has kind of a Beatles homage on the outro.
Right, with Gene singing the God
Very
of
true.
Thunder thing. Yeah, definitely.
All right, so we come to the end of the album already. We got, excuse me, we got "I Walk Alone," which of course is Bruce Kulick's first and only Kiss vocal. Again, about time. This one's my number 7, and yeah, I like this. It's it's another one that's grown on me. I love that whole intro to the song. What he's doing, that guitar effect and everything. It's just real. I don't know. To me, it's just real sort of relaxing almost.
Yeah,
Just it's definitely a pleasant thing to hear. Um, and yeah, I don't think Bruce has a horrible voice. I mean, he's maybe up there in like the ace, style of singers as far as how he delivers it, but maybe a little better than Ace. I'm sure that's arguable, but I think he does a pretty good job on the vocals, and it's got some great harmonies. Again, just a good structured song. It just flows together so well. Um, I and again, like I'm with you on the other song ending the album because again they're throwing just like with Eric's song, here they are throwing a Bruce song at the very end now. So yeah, I'd have rather would have had this song earlier in the album. Um, so but since it does end the album, not horrible, but um, it was cool to finally hear Bruce get a vocal in, and again, it's a shame because that whole what if conversation, we probably could have gotten more had they have kept going on in this direction. But yeah, good stuff.
definitely. Yes. Now I put this one at number 12. Um, but honestly, this song really is at least as cool as anything else on this album.
Mhm.
Especially musically speaking, it fits perfectly with all the rest of the other songs. It's heavy, it's powerful. I really hate to say this, it's last for me because of Bruce's vocals. Now, that's not to say that they're bad; they're terrible. The verses, especially, are spot on.
Mhm.
It's the chorus that bothers me and always has. It feels like it lacks heft and importance and power
Right.
because Bruce didn't project enough. And that's again, I don't mean to for that to feel like a dig on him. This is probably one of the first times he ever had to sing in an important setting like this where it was going to be saved forever and all the whole Kiss fandom was going to hear it. Of course somebody who's not super practiced on lead vocals isn't going to do a blow you away amazing job the first time. Um, but yeah, that chorus, it feels to me like it should be really forceful and powerful, just like how Paul or Gene would have done it if they had done it. But it is a great introduction to singing for him. And just kind of like what you were saying, I have no doubt that he would have become stronger and stronger as a vocalist if they had done more albums and let him have a song or two every once in a while. And we would have looked back on this one as, yep, that was his first time, his first try. Uh, but yeah, it does lack a little bit too much for me to rank this among my favorites.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was gonna say I'm pretty positive Gene sang this originally for the demo, so I'm pretty sure it's on the vault.
Right, right. And Gene sings that section near the end of the actual version even.
Yeah. Yeah, so just double checking that. Yeah. Chris said the only thing worse than Bruce's singing is his stage presence. Maybe in the early days.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're at the end of the album already. So, of course, overall rankings, I give it an 8. Like I said, production again, just top notch. Just got to reiterate the drum sound is phenomenal. Love the way it sounds. I feel like everything across the board again sounds pretty well. The only little gripe I have is the vinyl edition that came out in 2014, because I remember this being the first time it was released on vinyl. Well, for one, people complained about the cover because they took the actual CD image cover and just stretched it out instead of translating it to this. But not only that, I feel like, and this is just being nitpicky talking about the vinyl edition, but I feel like they probably should have put it on 2 records, because again, it suffers from that low volume. Yes, it sounds good. The quality is there, but again, it's just low volumes, similar to like Hot in the Shade. You definitely got to turn the stereo up a little bit louder to kind of get it to that good level. So I feel like if they wouldn't have squeezed all of this on 1 record and switched it in, split it into 2, we definitely would have got a better quality sound as well. Would have had that louder presence. Because again, with the CD, I remember the CD being like loud as hell. It was always like, geez, like you turn that thing on, like turn it down. I'm not sure about the cassette. I haven't listened to the cassette forever, but yeah. So, but then back to the album itself. Yeah, a lot of great catchy songs. I love the differences. How different everything sounded from what they did, previously. And I so badly wish, that we could have heard what would have come next. And, I guess, I don't know, maybe in certain ways we got hints of that based on what Bruce went on to do and, things like that. And even Eric with ESP and all that. But, yeah, so very solid album. And like I said, at this point, forget the whole talks of it being the worst Kiss album ever, because I wholeheartedly disagree with that. I do not think it's the worst Kiss album ever. It's definitely a strong listen, and if you haven't ever taken the time to listen to the full album, please do yourself a favor, give it a chance. Maybe you've only listened to it once or so. Do yourself a favor, give it another listen, and see if you come out with a little bit different opinion this time. But very solid 8 for me.
Absolutely. And that brings to mind, too, another thing Paul said in that recent interview. They asked him, what do you think of the Kiss fans that don't like Soul Station that much?
They cut off your cameras. Okay, what happened? All right. Sorry, guys. There we go.
It was weird. That time it was different. That time you went dark and I was here, but you weren't.
Yeah, you went dark on my end.
Weird. I don't know what's going on.
So they asked him what he thinks about people that don't like Soul Station.
Right. What do you think of Kiss fans that don't like Soul Station? They asked him, and he said, that's that's totally fine. It's completely different. It's not surprising that it's not some people's thing, but also you got to remember not to come into it having already decided you won't like it. And that I think that that applies to this album as well. If you're gonna give yourself another listen through of this whole album, do it with an open mind. Don't go in deciding you hate it, because then of course you're gonna hate it. I mean,
excuse me. You know what this Paul Soul Station album, what it is all over again is the Peter solo album. That's the kind of feedback this is gonna get, because it doesn't sound like Kiss. It's, what is this stuff, and yada yada. But like I said, each is our own man. Like we've said 100 times, that's what makes the Kiss Army unique. We all have our different opinions and views on what they do and put out. And hey, I've got my feelings on Gene's Asshole record, and there may be guys that, that's a good record, but at the same time saying whatever about Soul Station or whatever. But
right.
I don't know. I mean, I've tried not to listen to too much of what's been released. I like to just wait and hear the album as a full, and then give it a good feedback. So definitely going to do that.
Absolutely. Yeah, that brings to mind, do you remember when Gino from Sweet Pain re-listened to the Asshole album and came in just ranting and raving about how awesome Firestarter is? And we were both just, our chins were in our laps. Like, you gotta be kidding.
Yeah, we shot that down quick.
Yeah. Just it just speaks to the subjectivity of music.
See, David Smith, what's up? He says he didn't like it at first, but it grew on him. Originally on cassette, now all the time. He also gives it an 8 out of 10, and then his top 3. Thank you for that, man.
Absolutely. So yeah, I gave this an 8 as well. And man, I feel like this album is such an interesting look into what could have been. This album opens up, just like what you were talking about, such an insane stream of what ifs that it's kind of painful to let yourself wander down that path too far. And I'm kind of a mixed bag when it comes to considering this album as a whole. I mean, I'm a mixed bag anyway, but I think all of the songs are great. I personally love this album. I listen to this album all the time. But I also think that if they hadn't done the reunion tour and this had been put out as the next official Kiss album and they tried to tour behind it, it would have flopped. It would have fallen straight on its butt, just like Unmasked and The Elder. People didn't really like it at the time. At least the general Kiss fan population thought it was weird. I think it's just too different from previous Kiss albums. And even though all the songs are more in the vein of the heavier stuff like Unholy, I think some of these songs went a little bit too far away even from what made fans love Revenge. I really do like this production. It fits the song stylistically for the most part. Everything's clear, sounds good. Sometimes I find myself missing the Revenge production on this. I'd like to hear what some of these might have sounded like with that like big production drums and guitars, and rather than the stripped down dry approach, I would be curious what they would have done with the same set of songs with that. I think the record being so dry is another reason some of the Kiss fans didn't like it, because again, they had almost never done that. Look through the entire 80s catalog and you hear that huge reverby drums, and then suddenly here there's nothing. No reverb at all. But one really cool thing that draws me to this album, and also to Kiss's early stuff, and honestly to Sonic Boom and Monster, is that it feels just like the band. You can hear the 4 guys in there. They could have gotten together in a room all together and played these songs, and it would pretty much sound exactly like what we have. It makes it feel personal, and I like the idea of the band getting along so well and being so in tune with each other musically that they could just go in and make this. Unlike, say, Psycho Circus, which just, who knows who played that stuff? You know what I mean? The early albums sound like the 4 guys. This album sounds like the 4 guys. Sonic Boom and Monster sound like the 4 guys. And I like that about that. So yeah, overall, I listen to this album a ton. It's one of my favorite bands playing one of my favorite styles of music. And again, no, grunge is not my favorite style of music, and I don't think this album is grunge. So, of course, it appeals to me. I do wish it were a tiny bit more concise at certain points, but it has so many standout moments that stick in my head all the time that I can't deny it. So absolute 8.
Yeah, I agree. It's like I look at the album cover and I always picture like that's how they did the album, but of course we know that's not entirely true, but that's what I like to think. And
Right.
also, for that matter, I really doubt that these are the drums Eric used on the album, because to me, I'm picturing that he used those silver pearls that he had at the time.
Right.
That's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah. I feel like that's not very many drums for
Yeah.
him.
David said a radio station in Dallas played Jungle, and it took people a while to figure out who it was. I can imagine.
I bet, yeah. They were all like, "What?"
Ronnie, agreeing with what we were talking about earlier. They should have went with that original art cover. It definitely should have been somewhere, man. Like even on either the back cover, or they should have done something more with the inner sleeve and put more of a print on it. But as far as the CD, yeah, I can't remember if the CD had anything different, because
yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, I'll have to double check that. So real quick. Sorry, the curious part of me took over, so I must know real quick. Carnival Souls. Yeah, it looks like it was basically the same thing. Nothing special as far as I can tell. All right, so we're going to move into our next segment, True Confessions. So you guys in the chat, let's hear them as well, and we'll be right back. Boy, they need to make it easier with all these buttons you gotta hit.
Right.
Oh, geez. All right, so True Confession time. So, well, we already talked about the album covers. So, True Confession. I wish Luke's internet would fix itself. There. I already gave mine.
Yeah. Did it have to do with me staying in the shot?
Yeah, I said, True Confession. I hope Luke's internet fixes itself.
Yeah. I'd love to know what the hell the deal is.
No, geez. For me, it's like, forget about Elder for a little bit. Like, I want to hear them play this album in its entirety. Whether it's a cruise, whether it's just, I don't know what, but thankfully we got Bruce, that showed a lot of love to this stuff, fairly recently with his band, and they did a great job. Yeah. So I want to hear Kiss do this, if not the whole album, give us something. Give us at least 2 or 3 songs off the album. Forget about the whole like Elder thing. Like I said, like, yeah, that would be cool, but to me, it's like Carnival of Souls. I want to hear that more. That would be the cool shock thing. Not playing Oath every cruise or whatever. That's not a shock anymore. So that's part of it. And then let's see. And honestly, I guess tying in with that is, I wish obviously that we would have had not even a tour, but music videos at least. Like even Jungle. Like if that was the only single, I wish we could have at least gotten a music video for Jungle at least, just to kind of get that somewhat of a visual representation of that period, more than because we really don't have anything other than that tiny bit of studio footage that they threw on Kissology, and that's really about it as far as I can think. So, so that's my stuff there.
Yeah. Yeah, for that matter, I'd just like to hear at least Paul stop saying bad things about this album.
Mm-hmm.
I would bet they don't ever play anything from this. I remember when I was at that Kiss Expo in Indy where Paul was, somebody in the audience asked him, why doesn't Kiss do any songs from Carnival of Souls? And his honest to God answer was, because those songs are terrible. No, they aren't. No, they freaking aren't. I'm sorry. The obvious confession is I wish that this hadn't been it for this era. I have just gone on and on and on through the Revenge episode, the Alive 3 episode, the Unplugged episode, and now this one, how much I love this lineup and what they were able to accomplish musically. And I wish we could have had more from this. I wish this wasn't it. But honestly, my big confession, I would have really, really, really loved some more classic Bruce leads, like what we had on Asylum or Crazy Nights on this. The solos and leads he did on this album, they fit the songs. They're great. They're definitely not at all bad. But there are several times on this album I find myself wishing for more just crazy face-melting leads like the old days. I feel like he continued the Revenge trend of kind of stripping it down and not doing a huge amount, worrying more about the song than about the solo, which is good in some points, but I feel like some of these songs could have been just a tiny bit cooler if they had a holy crap guitar solo,
Yeah, it's so easy for Paul. That's another one of his cop-outs is, Carnival of Souls, Elder, Phantom of the Park, and yada yada. It's easy for him to say that they're horrible and it's bad, and that's the excuse for not, showing them any love. And then he's always got that line about, oh, there's a reason they're deep cuts because they're not good songs, and it's like, are you kidding me, dude? Like, I don't know. You may believe that crap. I sure don't. I don't buy that crap. There may be some people out there that take your word for gospel and believe everything you say, but I sure don't. Good Lord. Chris has a confession. It's he felt like this album is a bunch of Revenge rejects, but Hate was a great song though. And Richie Watts, we'll call him, says his confession is the album makes him yearn for Crazy Nights. Yearn. All right, so we got those tallies done.
Oh yeah. So let's hope we don't. I just won't cut out in the middle.
Oh, you're talking about a damn jinx there.
Computer's a freaking jokester today.
Oh, I love it, man. I love it.
Ugh, Jesus.
Somebody's like literally got their finger on the button, man.
Yeah, literally.
Jesus. Oh, we got one more confession real quick. David Smith said he wouldn't want to listen to Seduction of the Innocent while driving down a long stretch of highway. Only song I don't like. I gotta agree with you, man.
Yeah, that seems to be fairly common. Both Steve and Rochelle had that dead last too. Man, I have a screw loose apparently. Okay, so let's see. Of course, you guys have seen the two of us give our entire ratings here. We got some others we're counting. Steve McGowan gave us ratings. He gave this a 7 out of 10. His top 3, I Will Be There, Hate, and Jungle. Rochelle McGowan also gave this a 7 out of 10. Her top 3, Hate, Master and Slave, and Jungle. Robbie Stars gave us his ratings in the comments of the last episode. He gave this album a 9.5, and his top 3, Jungle, In the Mirror, and Rain. Carolina Scott gave this album a 6 overall. We got Chris's 4 overall in here, and then David Smith also gave this an 8 out of 10. In addition to that, we got some stuff from last time we did this album. So mine last time I gave this an 8.5, and my top 3 were Jungle, Master and Slave, and Hate. Eli, you gave this album a 6, and your top 3 were Hate, Jungle, and Rain. My dad gave this an 8 out of 10 last time. His top 3, Master and Slave, I Will Be There, and Childhood's End. Steve McGowan last time gave this a perfect 10, actually. I didn't remember that. Interesting. And his top 3, Rain, In My Head, and Jungle. Rochelle actually also rated this last time. She gave it an 8 out of 10. Her top 3, Childhood's End, Hate, and Jungle. Last time, Robbie gave this a 9 out of 10. Jay Rucker gave it a 1.5. Gianni Ottaviani actually gave us a full rating for this album last time. He gave it an 8. His top 3, Rain, Master and Slave, and Hate. Brock McDowell last time gave this a 9.7. Rain in Adamstown gave this a 9 out of 10 last time. His top 3, I Confess, Seduction of the Innocent, and Master and Slave. Yeah, high five, Thomas. Also, interestingly, this was one of the very few episodes of the original Crazy Crazy Kiss Countdown that my family did several years ago. So we also have votes from my younger brother Sam. His top 3, I Confess, Hate, and Master and Slave. Savannah's top 3 from all of that time ago. Her top 3, Seduction of the Innocent, Rain, and Master and Slave. And also my younger sister, Magenica, her top 3, Hate, Childhood's End, and Master and Slave.
What's up, Javier? Unfortunately, we just finished the album and getting ready to give the final tallies. But hey, man, if you want to throw yours in real quick, or if you got like a true confession about the album, please let us know.
Definitely. All right, so putting all that together, this did end up with a 7.5 out of 10 average overall score, which isn't too bad. That still puts it more in the bottom of the rankings, but it is ranked higher than Paul's solo album and Unmasked and Animalize, and tying with Asylum. So take that, Paul. In 12th place this time is I Walk Alone. 11th place, It Never Goes Away. In 10th place, In the Mirror. In 9th place, In My Head. In 8th place, Seduction of the Innocent. In 7th place, I Confess. In 6th place, Childhood's End. In 5th place, I Will Be There. And our top 4 this time: in 4th place, Jungle. In 3rd place, Rain. In 2nd place, Master and Slave. And in 1st place, Hate.
Well, hopefully that gets moved around a little bit.
What the hell? What is going on?
Tracks now.
So confused.
All right, so that wraps up Carnival of Souls here. Next week is what? Psycho?
Psycho Circus.
So sticking to that theme there. Another one that's going to be interesting. Definitely mixed feelings about the album these days versus what it started out as back when the hype first hit us. But you know, still a lot of good solid songs on there.
Definitely.
All right, Javier's got a confession. The album starts off strong, but it gets weaker by each song. By the time I Walk Alone starts, he's ready for the album to be over. Wow. You know, I gotta agree. There's a couple pockets in there for where I felt like it got a little boring, you know. But thankfully, there's you know, 2, 3, 4 songs that at least say that for me, and definitely helps you get through the album. All right. righty, so that's going to wrap it up, and hopefully you guys all go crank your Soul Station albums after we get off here, and give us some feedback on that. Let us know what you guys think on that album. So that wraps it up. Unless anyone's got any topics you want to discuss real quick, we're game for a little bit. Other than that, we're gonna get out of here.
Ooh.
All right, Javier has started putting his Kiss room together. Thank God.
Awesome.
Can't wait to see it, man. You're gonna have to either send us some pictures when it's done, or come on the show and do like a live little tour or something, man.
Definitely, that would be awesome.
Please keep us updated, man. And if you find yourself running out of room, I'll be glad to come to your house and take whatever's left over.
Yes.
All right, guys. Well, we're going to wrap this thing up then. And again, we thank you all for joining us. Kiss and Tail, good to see you, brother. It's been a little while. Forgot to mention, because I think you weren't in here when I said it earlier, but thanks for the shout out in your recent episode. I really enjoyed that episode too. That was a great idea. So yeah, we're going to do some more collaborating here soon. And as always, so everybody else that joined in, thank you. And don't forget to get on the Facebook page and get your votes in on those live polls. And we'll see. And we may have another 100%er for next week as well. So
Yep, definitely.
uh-oh. All right. Well, I lost your audio, but we'll get my get. There you are. Yeah, just get in touch with us, Chris. And again, you want to come on an episode pretty soon, and otherwise vice versa. So, let's get in touch. All right, everybody, we're going to get out of here. Thanks for joining us. See you next week for Psycho Circus. Everyone be safe and have a great weekend.